fundamental event. And the first on the list this afternoon session is the Canadian dollar. That's the core retail sales from Canada, which is coming up by 1:30 p.m., which is less than an hour from now. Yeah, good afternoon, Ajibola and Mr. John. Good to see you here also. So let's look at what this news is all about. Okay, looks like my system is hanging, but then let's just continue. Usually the data we're going to look for, okay, it's open now. So this news measures the change in the total value of sales at the retail level, excluding automobiles. And actual greater than forecast is good for the currency. That's for core retail sales. And for retail sales is the change in the total number of sales at the retail level, and actual greater than forecast is good for the currency. So both of them, the usual effect is the same. Actual greater than forecast, good for the currency. So by 1:30 p.m., if the actual turns out to be greater than forecast, the color of the data will be green, and we'll be looking at buying the Canadian dollar. And if on the other hand, the actual comes out less than the forecast, the data will be in red and we'll be selling the Canadian dollar. Now, when we talk about Canadian dollar, we're talking about at least first of all the major ones. That's the CAD JPY or the CAD CHF. Those are the two core CAD pairs where the Canadian dollar is the base currency. So the other ones are the quotes. So if the CAD JPY, CAD CHF is buying, then the other ones, Euro CAD, GBP CAD, US CAD might be selling. But let the focus for now be the CAD JPY and the CAD CHF. So if the data comes out good for the CAD, we're looking at buying CAD JPY or CAD CHF. And if the data comes out bad for the CAD, we're looking at selling the CAD JPY or the CAD CHF. Now, since the two events are similar, we'll likely have a red for a sell or a green for a buy. So let's take note of that. Now, simultaneously, there will be core durable good orders and durable goods from the United States. Now, in this case now, if the news comes out good for the dollar, then the data will be in green. You can see core durable good orders. So the data should be similar. If it's a green, it means we're buying the dollar. And if it's a red, it means we are selling the dollar. And here we'll be looking at the USD JPY, USD CHF, or the dollar. Now, we will not be looking, we'll be very careful with the USD card this afternoon. And the reason is because there's a news from Canada and also from the United States. So USD card can be a pair not to trade because we don't know the outcome of the news yet. If the news, the only condition that you can look at trading the USD card is if, for example, you have the data good for the card and bad for the dollar. Yes, you may look at trading the USD card in such instance, or you have the data bad for the card and good for the dollar. It's only when the data are opposing each other that we can look at trading the USD card. But since we don't know the outcome yet, what if the data comes out good for both of them? Then there will be a range. So be very careful of the USD card this afternoon. Rather, I will encourage you to focus on other pairs. Those ones may react better, than the USD card. Like I said, the USD card will only react well if the data from Canada and United States are opposing each other. So if it's good for the card and bad for the dollar, it means maybe selling the USD card. If it is good for the dollar, bad for the card, it means maybe buying the USD card. But let's not just put our attention on that. Let's look at the other peers. So these are the major events this afternoon. The monetary policy report hearings from the UK is still tentative, so no specific time has been allotted to that. Then 3 p.m. we have the revised UOM consumer sentiment from the United States. So we're going to look at the card and the dollar. I'll flip now to my MetaTrader. So I'll flip now to my MetaTrader and I will look at what we have for both the Canadian dollar and the United States dollar this afternoon. All right, so as we analyze in the morning, we still remain bearish on the dollar. This dollar index on the 4 hour, if you take it to the daily, you can see it's still trading around the resistance level. And yesterday closed as a tweezer top, which indicates we should still expect a bearish movement on the dollar. So if the news from the United States this afternoon comes out bad for the dollar, it will be a time to trigger a sell on the US dollar. And with that, we'll be looking at the USD JPY. This is my view on the USD JPY from the morning analysis. Please, I hope you can see my screen. You can see I'm on MetaTrader. Please, I need confirmation. If you can see my MetaTrader screen, please type a yes. All right, thank you. Thank you, Unique. Thank you. All right. So we'll be looking at selling the dollar if the news comes out bad for the US dollar. Like I said in the morning, this was forming a head and shoulder. The second shoulder is not so long, but that's really not much of a concern this time. What we're looking at for now is the news comes out bad for the dollar, and we should be ready to sell the USD card. Technically we're bearish on the dollar. And the other one is the USD CHF, but this USD CHF has not been giving good vibes, for quite some time. Yeah, currently we're having a rejection candle. If the news comes out bad for the dollar, definitely it will sell. But that's projection. So you can look at selling either the USD JPY or the USD CHF if the data this afternoon comes out bad for the dollar. Technically, we're bearish on the dollar. And from the analysis we had in the morning, we looked at some of the card pairs, but we didn't check the USD card. Sorry, we didn't check the card JPY and the card CHF. So let's take a look at those two instruments. This is the card CHF on the daily time frame. Now, this instrument has been in a range lately, so I think personally I want to ignore it. It's not having clear, direction. Now, this is the card JPY. All right, so the card JPY is trading at a key level that has been sustained till way back 2022. Price has always reacted at this level. It's been a previous resistance level, give me support at the point, and there's still currently a resistance. So there has been reaction of price on that level for at least the last 2 years. Let's flip. Let's back test further. Okay, it was a support at some point. It was a support level at some point. That was way back 2007. So price has always reacted at this level, and price is back to that same level now as a resistance. So technically, we should be looking for a bearish movement on the card JPY. Yeah, so it's having similar pattern to what we have on the USD JPY. It's having a head and shoulder, then that should trigger a bearish movement. So if the news comes out bad for the card, we can look at selling the card JPY. It's expected to break out if the news comes out bad for the card. So let's pay attention to that this afternoon. And I remember telling us in the morning that I was also looking at the GBP card. Let's go back to GDP card if it's still valid. Okay, still very much valid. I remember telling us in the morning, price is trying to break out though, but it's still valid. I said this in the morning that we'll be looking at a bullish breakout on the GBP card. One, price formed a symmetrical triangle and price has clearly broken out of the triangle. And secondly, price is giving an inverse head and shoulder pattern, which will trigger a bullish movement. So we're just 40 minutes away now. Price is actually trying to break the resistance level where I said we should be careful of that. If price breaks above it, that means we're looking at buying the GBP card. So once again, if the news comes out, bad for the card, we can either sell the card JPY or we buy the GBP card. That's my outlook for the card for this afternoon. So let's take note of that. Now, in the morning, for GBP USD, we saw an inverse head and shoulder forming on 1 hour time frame. And that also is about to break out. So if the news this afternoon on the dollar, if the news comes out, just like we analyzed that the dollar is bearish, if the dollar is bearish, then technically we should expect a bullish breakout on GBP USD. So if the news comes out bad for the dollar, we should be looking at buying the GBP USD. So if the news comes out bad for the dollar, you can either sell the USD JPY or you buy the GBP USD. And on the other hand, for the card, if the news comes out bad for the card, you can either sell the card JPY or buy the GBP card. So you can see in either cases, the pound is still very strong. The pound PS are still going bullish. So let's take note of this setup. Now, like I said in the morning also, this is Friday. Today is Friday. Volatility might be low later in the afternoon. So we're expected to trade with a lot of caution. I have just about one or two setups to go. One is a BTC USD. We talked about this morning, and somebody asked about it in reality, and I was showing the pattern I was seeing, the rising wedge, and it's getting clearer now that it's forming a head and a shoulder. So we may still expect a reversal on BTC USD. So if this pattern completes and it reverses, then we'll be looking at taking our entry below this support line, which is a neckline, for us to ride the trend down in the bearish direction. So I hold the bearish outlook on BTC USD. And using my Fibonacci tool, entry can be around that Fibonacci level. This should be Fibonacci level 38.2. So you can ride the trend down to Fibonacci 50 and 61.8 thereabouts. And that should give you, maybe your weekend profitable trade, as you can, call it. All right, so that will be all from my end on this afternoon. There's a long term, or let me say medium term swing setup that is forming on the DJ30. I don't know if that one will definitely be not so much again today, but for swing traders, you can plan ahead of this, as we approach the new week. You can plan for this as we approach the new week. A massive breakout is getting set on the NAS 100. We have a previous resistance on support, and an inverse head and shoulder pattern is forming. So that is expected to see to a massive bullish breakout on BTC. It may start today, but the major move will still be, is going to be on Monday. So let's take note of that. It may even form part of the analysis we'll have as we approach the new week. All right, so let me just do a last recap as we close. This afternoon, we're expecting two major news events, one from Canada, the other from the United States. For the Canadian news, that's the retail sales and core retail sales. We're bearish on the card. News comes up bad for the card, we'll look at selling the card JPY or buying the GBP card. And for the dollar, we're bearish on the dollar also. So the news comes out bad for the dollar, we're looking at selling the USD JPY or buying the GBP USD. And I said I'm bearish on BTC USD on 1 hour. All right, that'll be all this afternoon. If you have a question, you can post it. I'll respond as we round up. Any question? Market has been very quiet since morning. Maybe some volatility will come in this afternoon due to the news. Euro GBP. All right, Mr. Raju. Euro GBP has just started, kind of ranging earlier in the week and still also not having clear direction. Though technically, I personally I'm looking out for a bullish breakout. It's just that market didn't go as maybe the volatility was not sufficient to push the trade because my view earlier on at the beginning of the week is a massively bullish uh, Euro GBP for this week. And I got that from the monthly support. Price hit the support level on the monthly time frame. And if you flip over to the daily, okay, it's down here. At the beginning of the week, we had this rejection candle, which was supposed to see to the bullish movement of Euro GBP. There was some bullish movement, but it wasn't sustained. It didn't break out as expected. So maybe as we approach the new week, we might see the breakout. On the 4 hour, currently it's forming a falling wedge pattern. That's what I can see on the 4 hour time frame. So shouldn't give up. It might still break out. I was telling some of my students yesterday that on the big picture, I believe this instrument is getting ready for a massive bullish breakout because on the daily time frame, this is actually forming an inverse head and shoulder pattern, which will trigger a long-term, trend that may even last till the end of 2024. So maybe it's just trying to take its time before that final breakout happens. But technically, I still remain bullish while we anticipate a breakout, on the 4 hour time frame. That's a long-term trend, though. AUD New Zealand. Okay, I'll analyze it, but like I always tell people to be careful of this AUD New Zealand. Sometimes it can really be funny. Sometimes it doesn't follow uh technical analysis. But since you asked me to check it, I will definitely check it out for you. You can see the candles are not like the other ones. So that's one reason why you have to be careful of this instrument. Okay, so this is AUD New Zealand on the weekly time frame, and you can clearly see that there's a descending trend line. So we're expecting a downtrend. So if you go down to the daily time frame, what I'm seeing here is it's trying to form a head and shoulder and a breakout. That's what I can see for now. And let's take it down to 4 hour. Yeah, still the same view. Shoulder, head, second shoulder. So it's trying to form a head and shoulder. What I will advise you do is you wait for a breakout below this neckline to trigger a sell on this instrument. So I hold a bearish outlook on that AUD New Zealand on 4 hour time frame. AUD USD, we are bullish on AUD USD. We analyzed it in the morning. The analysis is still the same, though it's a 4 hour setup. That's why you may not see much of the movement again this week. Today is Friday, it's Friday afternoon. Most of these instruments may not move so much again like that today, except for GBP USD. That one is having an inverse head and shoulder. You'll expect some volatility on that one. For the AED USD, this AED USD goes on 1 hour and 4 hour. It's a falling wedge. On the daily, it's on an ascending trend line. So technically, we're looking for an opportunity to buy. So if the news again, if it comes out bad for the dollar, then that will also, okay, that may trigger a bullish breakout on this AED USD. If the news comes out bad for the dollar, you can see that there's even a support level. There's a minor support level here. Okay, and I think I said in the morning that this is also forming a double bottom pattern. All right. So we should still anticipate a bullish breakout on this AUD USD, possibly this afternoon, if the news is volatile enough to push the price. All right, so that'll be all this afternoon. Take care and trade safe and have a great weekend ahead. Bye bye.